Good afternoon, happy Friday. It's the weekend. Yeah, sorry, a bit late. Got distracted, as per usual. So it's Marie here from Messy M Creations, bringing you a Fun Fold Friday. I needed to make a fun fold card and went onto Pinterest. And you know how we were talking the other day? Hi, Jeanette. I went into a right old rabbit warren of Pinterest, lost God knows how long. But I made a fold for a little challenge that I was in. So I thought I'd quickly just show you what I'll show you what I did, but then I'll show you how I did it. So that would help, wouldn't it? So just doing my final bit of prep. So I hope you're well, Jeanette. Sun's finally decided to come out after days of rain, which is quite nice here. Makes a nice change. So let's just get ourselves a little bit organised. At least just pretend I'm organised, eh? Well, I am organised because I've got my paper, I've got my card base, and I've got my layer for my card. So we're doing all right. So what I am going to show you is how to do one of these. So glad to hear it, Jeanette. So basically this is a fold across the card. So on this card I used Pear Pizzazz, then I used the garden green, and I embossed that. That's the only thing I haven't done yet, is embossed that paper. Used some of the gold foils to add some interest, and then a little greeting on there as well. So I might use the actually I'm going to use the bricks. So what I'll do, just going to quickly run this through the embossing folder. Not through the embossing folder, through the Big Shot is what I meant. Looking forward to our new machine coming out, because my plates for my Big Shot I think are pretty shot. I think every time I use it, I think at any point that's going to crack and explode on me and scare the living bejeebers out of me. So my card base, I have used grey granite, and that is petal pink. So I've just used the bricks and mortar embossing folder. Actually, I might just take that and see if we can manage without that light. Run that through the embossing folder. So I think it's just quite nice to have a bit of interest on the paper behind. And my embossing folders don't get an awful lot of love, so they are now permanently on my desk to remind me to show them some love. I'll just get my gold bits so I don't forget to add those in as well. I've got my stamps, so we are good to go. So now this card, the measurements that I got off the internet were in inches, because it was an American lady that had done it. So I have transferred those into centimetres. So potentially you can work either, but what I can do is pop the measurements into the post afterwards. So essentially we start with a piece of paper that is 25 centimetres by 14.9, or in my case 14.4, because I've taken the ½ centimetre off because I want this paper to match the base layer that I've cut. So this piece of paper measures 25 by 14.4, so it's better to consider where you're going to place it on the card, whether it's directly onto the card or layers, and if you're using multiple layers you need to cut this piece to fit those multiple layers. So then I'm going to make sure that I have my scoring blade at the ready, and my first score is at 2. Just get a few things out of the way. So 2.5 I'm measuring along my measure at the top and doing a score. Then I need to score at 3.75, so as close as we can get to that 3.75. Then it is 6.25. Then 7.5. I had to work it out, write it all down. Then at 7.5, 10 centimetres. That seems quite a lot, but yeah, that's fine. 10 centimetres, 11.25. I have practiced with I did the first one in inches, and I can't be doing with inches. It's very confusing. So I'm at 11.25. Then I go to 13.75. So say, well, I will put it up in, actually what I might do is find the blog post and just post the blog post, so you've got it in inches. Depends whether you prefer inches or centimetres, I guess, doesn't it? So 15, but if you want centimetres, I've done the hard work for you. 17.5, 18.75, 21.25 and 22.5. So I've needed my arm on my unit out, so then you possibly may not be able to see, but I have got kind of wide, thin, wide, thin, wide, thin scores across my paper, but they are all even. So then what we need to do is mark, so we need to measure along the short side at 6.25 centimetres and do a little mark. The first time you try this, try not to use an overly patterned paper, because it's really confusing if the paper's really patterned. So then I want 6.25 from each end, each side. So I've done a little mark. 6.25. I tried it on the first time, a really patterned paper, which would have looked stunning, but the first time I did it I was like, uh-oh, too confusing. So yes, I have been kind to myself for this live, because the other thing that we need to see clearly are the score lines, because we want to cut from this score line through to that little mark we've just made. So the score line that we're using is the one closest to the middle, and we are cutting there using the same score line again. And if your paper's very patterned, it's very difficult to see that score line. Trust me, I've tried. So be kind to yourself the first time you give it a whirl, and then get brave. I mean, if you want to double check yourself, you can always check your triangles match once you've got one going. So I'm using my point there and my score line. So on either side it's the one that's closest to the middle. And I'm afraid I didn't take the name of the lady whose blog I found while I was lost in my little Pinterest warren. It's nice though, isn't it, sometimes just sit with a little cup of coffee and think, oh, I'll just look up a fancy fold, and then once you've typed in fancy fold, woohoo, you're away on Pinterest. So I thought whenever I do a Facebook Live on a Friday, it's going to be a Fun Fold Friday. Which, as long as I don't have a drink, we're all right. Actually, I've not quite taken that far enough on that. I'll trim that little smidgen off there. Problem with choosing a paler paper is, of course, there we go. So there's my paper. Don't need this anymore. So you can put your scoring etc. away. Then essentially, let's just make sure I fold this the right way. So you're folding in and out to concertina. So what you end up with, so you could choose to have this card either way round. So you can have the grey with a little bit of pink, or we could fold it the other way and have the pink with the grey. Now, because I made a slight error with those ink marks, I am going to do it so that I've got more grey. So essentially just fold it up either way. So essentially what you've done in the scoring is created space, and then when we fold it up, as if by magic, it meets in the middle. And with any luck, it fits. Oh, see? It's like it was planned. Oops, if I sit it properly. So I'm at the right length for my card base, and it matches either side. Ta-da! Right, so whew, glad that went all right while I was live. So all I do, because I didn't actually read the instructions on the blog as to what to do beyond the folds. I was so excited by the folds. So what I decided to do was just run a little bit of glue on these shorter bits, on the narrower pieces, if that makes sense, to just literally, because it's not going to sit on the card unless there is some sort of level of gluing it down. So I've just put a little bit of glue on those short pieces. Then this is where you need kind of like Mr. Gadget hands to hold it all. Mr. Gadget, Inspector Gadget. Or multiple hands. Craft with a friend. Borrow their hands. And then we obviously want to pop that on the card. So again, we are going to use wet glue to stick that on the card. I mean, nothing stops you multiply layering it up if you wanted to. If you were sensible and used pencil for your marks, you can rub them off. So that's another, don't do as I do, do as I say. So I want the two edges there to match up. So again, this wet glue is so important, because we want to make sure that we've got the ends lined up and the sides lined up. And then all I'm going to do is turn that little lot over and just hold it in place for a bit to let that glue do its thing. And just sit. Got a lovely day out planned on Sunday with some friends at Cambridge Botanical Gardens. So I'm looking forward to seeing, I'm hoping well, I don't know what the weather is like with you, but we've had days of rain. So I'm hoping that Cambridge Botanical Gardens might look very beautiful. Had all the rain. So hopefully that has, apart from those edgy ones. So just hold those down. You know, essentially you don't necessarily want those completely glued down. It's quite nice to see that they're, you know, the edges are loose. So this card I'm actually going to put that way around. Didn't get my inks out, so hopefully they've stuck now. There we go. So these tops and those edges, you need to make sure they're glued. So we need petal pink and grey granite. So I'm doing the card that way around. So it almost kind of looks like that inside, that inner one is going to pop open. It doesn't, and obviously we've got to put a sentiment on there, which I like this: wishing you every happiness this special day will bring, and using this punch. And I'd like to add a bit of bling. I don't think I can get away with any level of the rainbow paper at all. It's just not pale enough. No, far too bright. I just have to go through my lovely sheets of gold. I've not got a single full sheet left, and I've got lots of sheet. Oh, that might look quite nice with odd bits in, so I've just got to have a little fiddle through. What I'm thinking might be quite nice is that one might go quite well. So the other thing is we could just do it in white, or we could just add a little bit of bling with the gold. So I just think add a bit of bling, it's quite nice, isn't it? So using not, I might even not use that solid one, because that's that solid one with quite a light card. So using, that's the joy of these these gold papers. Just want to add just a little bit of interest. Oh, now they've got all tangled up. Bear with for a sec. There we go. So the greeting itself, you know how I like my shimmery white. Oh, not enough space on that little bit. I've got scraps of shimmery white coming out my ear holes. Let's just find a suitably sized scrap. That will do. I've already cut one out of one end. So I think, I think what I should do is the same paper that I did that with. See, what I like about when you've got these straight edges on a, just want to make sure the edges have got the interest on, because just want the two edges to have the detail. That will make sense. So I'm just picking the most detailed piece. This will make more sense in a mow. So I'm going to use grey granite, I think, for the sentiment. You know, if you had a more patterned, colourful paper, you could do as many colours as you wanted to, really. It's just, you know, you show your paper off and choose what you prefer. Ah, how old's your granddaughter going to be, Jeanette? I've checked weather for Cambridge, and Cambridge weather is okay. So unless you want to move your barbecue to Cambridge. So there's our sentiment. Now, because this is straight-sided, what we can do is I'm going to cut that in half. Pop a little bit of seal on there. Yeah, so it does it so quietly I can never tell whether it's on there. Actually, I might just, before I do that, you know me and my sponges. You don't want her to you don't want to move it to Cambridge. 30. Oh, those years are gone. So literally, sorry, I'm just realised I'm just doing that off the camera. So yeah, I'm just sponging around the edge and taking it a little bit further onto the card. So sometimes I'll do it just around the edge, sometimes I'll just take it on, because I quite like with the granite grey that kind of almost antique-y look that you get when you add it. Around, just gives it a little bit of a definition. Now that's the bit with the tape on. So all I'm going to do is line up top and bottom and leave. So that's why I wanted a bit of detail on those ends. I didn't want to end up with the ends not having detail. So for me, doing this works best if the punch has straight edges, because that just looks neater for me. So then we can choose to pop that on smack bang in the middle, up at one corner. Doesn't even have to be straight. I trust your granddaughter has a handmade card. Might just put that on at a jaunty little angle. Oh look, you can accentuate the fold by, oh look, that's all, just make it look like that's tucked inside. So just some couple of, actually I might put 3 on because of the folds, just to make sure we get a good grip on that one. So just the appearance that it's, right, let's try and get that tucked in there without getting the thingies to stick too much, because I just want to make it look like it's just tucked in, and then press it so it's just slightly hidden behind the folds. But you can see, just because I put that little bit of glue, it's well, yes, if we yes, hadn't have been able to see family and friends still, we would have, yes, sadly had to have posted that out, wouldn't you? Well, I guess it's going to be lovely to I'm just going to stick a little bit more glue in just to get that stuck a little bit more, because it's a little bit, yeah, you could leave, you know, when you make a card like this, you can leave it as open or as folded up as you wish, but obviously an element of it needs to be stuck down so that it stays in place. And then, oh, and after all that, I forgot to put these on. So what I normally do is how am I going to do that now? I'm going to use one of these because it's got the folds. Normally what I do is glue that to the back of that sentiment. Oh, that leaves a bit, that one's a bit lively. Or maybe we don't do it now, we've forgotten them. The thought was there, so... Oh, we've got those beautiful, beautiful, beautiful embellishments that go with this paper, don't we? Let me just find those. We have these beauties. So we can put a few of those on. Just go with that. We'll put some embellishments on instead, as we forgot the... Actually, I'm going to stick it to the card first. And again, because of the surface of the embossing folder, I am using wet glue. Pretty good coverage at that. Get my card base. Pop that on top. Yeah, I can see me getting in a right old pickle putting wet glue on them. Normally I'd put stamp and seal on the back of that and glue them to that. So without, I'm gonna go with the embellishments. I'm actually going to use the bigger size as well, I think. Just pop a few around. Oh, it's a terrible decision where to put your embellishments. So yeah, these petal pink ones are just really pretty, so I'm going to put... Oh, hi Jane! You had a busy day? What like the hardest decision in the world? Where to put my... No, I don't want it on the same... So yes, I've been playing with folds today, Jane. So this is the card I've made on the live, and that was the one that I made earlier. So I had my little gold leafy bits and then I forgot. So yeah, so this is a folded paper in the centre, so it just adds a little bit of interest. Oh, lovely. You bring him a bit round later. What sort of cake has he got? Oh, it's birthday weekend. It's Jeanette's granddaughter's, your dad's. My friend Lane is on Monday. I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to put it up there. Oh, dude, I thought it'd take so long to decide where to put an embellishment. So yeah, I'll save my little gold bits for another time. But yes, so in essence, we've taken a piece of paper which was 25 by 14.4 in this instance because I wanted it to match my base card, and we've scored it to create folds. Oh, homemade lemon curd. Ooh, lovely. Well, I hope he appreciates it and enjoys it. So there's today's card, and as I say, that was the one that I made earlier. And the reason for the fold came from a challenge that's in a Facebook group that I'm in, and it was for a fun fold. So hence we have Fun Fold Friday when I do lives on a Friday now, because I got lost in Pinterest for hours on end. So anyway, there you go. If you want to have a go, then yeah, I'll connect with the blog on Pinterest that I did. I'll do it from the blog so you don't have to get lost on Pinterest yourself. Although obviously it's a very good use of time, so if you want to get lost, completely lost on Pinterest, then feel free to get completely lost on Pinterest. So Jeanette, enjoy your granddaughter's birthday on Sunday. I will keep my fingers crossed for the weather for you on Sunday with that barbecue. And Jane, have a fantastic time for your dad's birthday as well. And I look forward to catching up with you all next week. All right, take care. Thank you. See you later. Bye.